Welcome to the Homeschool Show from North Carolinians for Home Education. Our goal is to help you homeschool with confidence and joy. I'm your host, Matthew McDill, and we have as our co-host today, Amanda Wares.
Yes, hi. How are you? I'm well, doing great.
Have I ever asked you if you heard of the old country song, Amanda?
I don't think I have, no.
You've never heard of that song?
I don't think so. No, I'll have to listen to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay,
What do we have
sounds
on the
good.
program today?
All right, so today in Homeschool News, we're going to let you know about a field trip this month and early registration to the children's program at the conference. We're going to have a great conversation with Ashton Tate, founder of Glory to Glory Fitness. We're going to discuss teaching health and fitness in our homeschools. Super important. And then on Homeschool Helps with Amanda, I am going to share with you about struggling learners, learning disabilities, and the ESA Plus program in North Carolina.
Great. Sounds like it's great. A good show today.
Definitely.
Okay, for homeschool news, then the first thing we want to let you know is we have a great field trip planned at the Discovery Place. This is in Charlotte on February the 27th. You can go to nche.com/2023-discovery-place and find out more about it. Or you can go to our homepage at nche.com and you'll see a link there. And of course, we'll have it in our show notes. Anyway, join NCHE at Discovery Place Science for a day of exploration and learning in one of the largest science museums in the region. Mm-hmm. Admission is sharply discounted from off-the-street prices. So you can go with a bunch of homeschool folks and you get a discount.
I'll be
It's
there.
worth going. Are you?
Yeah.
Good. That'll be fun.
Taking my son. It'll be fun.
So here's the other great announcement, and that is there is an early bird registration for the children's program at the Thrive Conference. And that registration deadline is coming up February 3rd. So if you want a discount on your registration, then you can check that out. Our children's program is provided by Giant Cow Ministries, and they've been doing it for years for us. They do such a great job. They provide events, feature high energy drama, exciting music, really fun activities, memorization of God's Word, and positive mentoring by dynamic youth who help out in the process. So if you have some older kids, 12 years old and up, who would like to help out and volunteer, they can join in as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, the ages are 3 to 12, and they have events Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but you can get 1 or 2 day options depending. So the most important thing, though, is if you want a discount on that, you can register before February the 23rd.
Nice.
Okay, well, we're going to dive into Homeschool Conversations. We have Ashton Tate here on the line with us. He is the founder of Glory to Glory Fitness in Franklin, Tennessee, and the creator of the FORM curriculum, a turnkey and biblically based health curriculum for schools and families. Their mission is to provide quality health education to every student in America. He partners with Christian schools and homeschool families all over the nation. So Let's welcome Ashton. How are you doing?
Hey, good. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so glad you could join us. So tell us how all this got started, this desire for fitness and teaching that.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't something that I set out when I was a kid and think that I was going to want to do. But by the time I was in, junior year in high school, I was actually almost 300 pounds and just really struggled with health for years, really struggled with my eating, was pre-diabetic. I had really bad acid reflux, and I ended up losing over 100 pounds over the after my junior year. After over about 1.5 to 2 years, I ended up losing over 100 pounds. Yeah, and throughout that process, like God just started showing me, like, wow, like if you steward your body in the way that I have made it and created it, like you're going to be able to do the things I've called you to do so much better and for so much longer, And so I was like, man, that's kind of cool. And so people saw that transformation and they just started asking for help. They're like, hey man, like how did you do what you did? Like, I don't, I'm having trouble. And they knew me. They're like, man, if you can get fixed, if you can change, I can, And so,
That's great.
I just kind of started helping people threw some stuff in my parents' garage at the time and started helping people. And then fast forward, years after that, I got a 4-year degree in health, We had ran a gym and just helped adults for years. And throughout that process, and when COVID hit, we ended up going fully online and continuing to help adults. But we just kept running into this problem of feeling like we weren't really dealing with the root issue. Which is, I believe, that a lot of these kids in school aren't being taught the foundations of healthy living when they're young. And so when they grow up and when they're out of gym class or sports, they don't know how to actually practically fit that stuff into their life. And so they end up being, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And with the busyness of life and having kids and jobs and stuff like that, they don't know how to fit it in. And so we really wanted to, I believe that really the way to impact and improve the health of the church, the health of our nation, is to really equip the next generation. And so we created a biblically based health education curriculum for kids and teens. And we work with parents and schools all over the U.S. And it's just been really cool what God's been doing with it, and it's really changing a lot of lives. So it's been really
fantastic.
It's been really cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So tell us about it. I mean, let's dive into some of these principles. What are some of the things that are at the top? The most important things that, especially, we're talking to homeschool parents here, and they have that opportunity, as you're saying, to train a whole mindset and a discipline and a way of life that's going to position their kids for health. What are some of those important points?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, the Bible says that transformation comes by the renewing of the mind. And I think so often when we approach health, we just leave that completely, it just kind of goes out the window,
Right.
because we think, oh, it's physical and I just need to work out and I just need to eat chicken breast and broccoli. And that's what I need to do. And it's in order to really have lasting change, we have to think rightly about it, and we have to get that vision and that thinking, from the Lord. And so that's, I think, the first thing is everything that we do, everything that we teach is not just about do this, do that, don't do this, don't eat that cookie, it's not about that. It's about the heart behind it. And it's about thinking rightly about how God has given you a vehicle in your body to steward, that you can use to do the things that he's called you to do in your life. And so I think that's the first thing I'd say is man, we got to help these kids not just do the right things, but think rightly about it, because out of that thinking, the actions and what they need to do, usually will flow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dive a little bit deeper on that and talk about what should they be motivated by? What are those things that in their minds are the most important foundations or truths? Yeah.
Well, the health industry it's very vain nowadays. A lot of the times, it's all about me and I and how I look and how people view me. It's about getting a six pack and weight loss and diet stuff and so what we really try to teach, the head on our website is your health can help you serve others better, period. And that's really what we want is that our health, it's not about looking good. Cool. That's fine. I want to look good for my wife, and that, it's not a bad thing that you want to look good, but we really want kids and adults to understand wow, your body, it can help you to serve others and do what God's called you to do in every season. Because here's the thing. If you can want to preach the gospel as much as you want, you can want to impact people as much as you want. But if you get into your 40s, 50s, 60s, and you physically can't get out of bed and do the things that you need to do, and you're tired all the time, you have back pain, you have you're not going to physically be able to do that no matter how much you want to do that. And it's not a matter of, well, God hasn't given me the grace. It's that maybe we weren't stewarding the body that he's given us in the way that he's designed it, And so it really goes back to that stewardship aspect and just thinking rightly about that. And God wants to help us with those things and not just leave us to our own, I guess you just have to take care of your health by yourself. It's no, he wants to give us the grace to, he wants to give us the wisdom. And so we break down health super, super simply for kids and teens to not only help them think right, but help to give them really practical frameworks in every area, that actually work in every season.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, let's add some more here. Maybe another principle that we want to make sure we're teaching the kids, or get into some tips on how parents can teach some of these things.
Yeah. So let me go through actually the four main areas that we break down health into. And one of the reasons why we try to make everything so simple, right? That we don't have an information problem in the US today, right? You can go on Google and you can type in how to be healthy and literally like 50 something million results pop up. And it's like, what do I do? Like, it can be really confusing, you know? And so we want to break it down super, super simply. So we break it down into 4 main areas. And as long as they have a simple routine in each of these 4 areas in every season, it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to look the same, but if they have a simple routine and then it breaks them down, it helps them to kind of check these things off. So the first area that we talk about and that we teach in is called functional fitness. That's what the F in form stands for. So we talk about how our bodies were made to move. And as long as we have a really simple routine of how we're moving our bodies, that may be walking, running, doing some workouts, doing some different stretching things. If we can have a simple routine of taking our bodies through functional movements, our body's going to function and operate in the way that it's created. So that's number 1. Number 2 would be the second is the O stands for optimal nourishment. And so we talk about nutrition. It's a really key part of how we fuel our bodies. And so we talk about how, to give our bodies what they need. In the same way a car needs gas to go, our bodies need good quality nutrients and foods. And so we talk about how to break that down, what the different macronutrients do for our body. And so just getting them a really simple way of eating foods that are going to fuel their bodies well, but then also enjoying food sometimes as well and kind of having that balance. So that's kind of what we talk about there. So that's 1 and 2. 3 would be rest and recovery. And so in that section, we talk a lot about like mental health. We talk about posture. We talk about sleeping enough. We talk about resting, mentally in our minds, things like that. And really rest and recovery. It's just how can we help them to create a routine and a kind of a cycle in their life where they're resting and recovering preventatively rather than when everything goes wrong. Oh, now I gotta, I hurt my hip or I hurt my muscle or my back hurts. Now I need to do some stretching. It's like, how can we get them doing some really simple frameworks and some really simple routines there so that they preventatively can feel really good, can be rested to get back to the work that God's, called them to do. So that's the third one. And then the fourth one is called multiplied maintenance. And so I think this is another big part of the health industry that is lacking nowadays is anybody can get short-term results, right? Everything is so, look at so-and-so, they lost 800 pounds in 30 days. Look at this amazing before and after picture. It's like, okay, that's fine, cool. But really I care about maintenance, and I really want to help adults and kids to actually maintain the progress and to actually live these things out over the long run. And so multiplied maintenance is all about how to fit that practically into your life. And so I think a lot of things we talk about is making sure that they're in the right community with people, making sure that they're surrounding themselves with the right people, not comparing themselves to others, social media and all these different things. We want to help them to actually maintain it and fit it into their life. And then also we want them to not only fit it and to maintain it into their life, but we want to be able to serve others and multiply that lifestyle into others so that others can do the same. So that's really kind of the 4 areas that we like to break things down. And then once you think about that, even if you don't have our curriculum, you're able to kind of think of it in those 4 quadrants, and it makes it so simple. Like, oh, okay, do I have a good routine of movement? Check. This is what I do during the week. Do I have, am I eating clean and am I eating what I need to most of the time? Cool, check. Am I sleeping enough? Am I getting enough rest? Am I stretching and things like that? Do I have a routine there? Check. And then multiply maintenance. Am I able to sustain this? And is this actually something that I can balance, long term? And if you got each of those 4 areas, most of, health, you're going to live pretty well. And most of the issues that a lot of people see, a lot of them go away if you focus on those four things. So,
Wow.
Yeah, I like how you pointed out that we're not talking about some kind of new secret information here.
Right.
In other words, health is the same. But we want to do it in a biblical way in the context of a biblical worldview with the right heart and motive. We also want to do it in a clear way. And we just need to be talking about it and implementing it. So what do you find, do you see in families or in folks that any of those 4 in particular are a struggling point? Like, or are they all just you need all of those? Any ones that are worse?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the family. Nutrition is usually kind of hard. Just for people in general, it's just hard. You just really have to plan a lot. Like it's a lot easier to not be focused on that than it is to really make sure, hey, I'm getting these 4. But we teach a really simple framework for what you need to get with each meal and the curriculum and stuff too. I mean, it's really it's really cool, and it breaks down it really simply. So I mean, it really just depends on the family. I think the biggest thing is a lot of times when we take kids through curriculum, it's like, cool, we checked off the box for the health credit or whatever we were doing, and it's like, okay,
Right.
that's great. But we want them to continue in that. And if we make it to where it's all centralized around just getting that credit or doing that thing, and we don't make it a lifestyle where, hey, we're going to continue in these things. Let's continue in the maintenance part is really big, because like, who cares if they can just do it for 6 months to check off this box?
Right.
We really care about, once they graduate, once they're a parent, and once they're doing those things, they can walk and live in, and, training them up in the way they should go so that they don't, depart from those ways. That's what I'd say is the biggest thing
Yeah.
that you see.
Well,
That's awesome.
why don't we end it with at least another tip or two of so parents can walk away saying, I want to take a step. I want to at least start taking a step in teaching my kids health. What would we want to give them?
Yeah. So I think we talked about being able to give them. We have an amazing devotional guide that goes through and walks kind of throughout it. Takes a student on a journey throughout the Bible and what it teaches about health and some examples that it has. So I wanted to give that devotional guide to your parents for free, so that they can go to formcurriculum.com/devotional-guide-free, and they can pick up a copy of that for free and check that out. And I think that'll really give them a good start of, hey, here's how we help them to think about it. Here's what the Bible teaches, and then just filling in, those gaps with the 4 pillars. But that's that the parents really finding that helpful to get started with.
Nice.
That's great. And we'll include that link in our show notes as well. And I think you said you're going to be at the conference, aren't you?
Oh yeah, we'll be there. We're excited. It's gonna be fun.
Wonderful.
That's great. So if you're coming to the conference, which again is May 25 through 27 of this year, and registration is open, you can check it out. And we have a fantastic vendor hall full of all sorts of information and resources that you can take advantage of. And Ashton's going to be there with Glory to Glory Fitness, so you'll be able to meet him.
Nice.
And check it out yourself, right?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm excited to meet everybody.
Nice.
Good. Well, I appreciate you being on the show, Ashton, and we'll look forward to seeing you in May.
Yeah, sounds great. God bless you guys.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you.
Okay. Now we can
That's
have
awesome.
live Homeschool Helps with Amanda.
That's right. I'm so excited. I love doing Homeschool Helps live.
Yeah,
It's so fun.
it's fun.
Yeah.
So what do you have
So-
as our topic today? Oh, you already said special needs and
Yes, we are going to talk about struggling learners
Okay.
and learning disabilities. So, in the special needs world, obviously, there are many different kinds of special needs: Down syndrome, autism, all the different things. But today, I'm going to focus on if you have a learner at your house that is struggling, and maybe they have some specific learning disability like dyslexia, dyscalculia,
Okay.
one of those kind of things. So, as I know from personal experience and so many families, I talk to many parents that know and experience teaching these kids that struggle. It can be hard, but it can also be exactly what they need to thrive and succeed. So here's some questions and some answers that I had to think about that. One, do you want to have your student formally diagnosed or not?
okay.
And in my own house with different kids, I have done both. I have had somebody formally diagnosed and I have chosen not to. So some things that I thought about was when you know something isn't quite right, but you don't know exactly what the problem is, think about, as far as getting a formal diagnosis, will it help? Is it going to make a difference? Will having this formal diagnosis enable you maybe to access some help that you wouldn't otherwise? Or another reason maybe you wouldn't want to do that, think about in the future, will having that label affect them negatively in the future? Maybe so, maybe not. You got to think about those things. Sometimes I know in college, if your student wants to access particular help for that kind of disability, they have to have a formal diagnosis to access that kind of help. We're going to talk about this ESA Plus program in a minute. To access that, you have to have some
Okay.
kind of formal diagnosis. So there might be reasons for, and there might be reasons against. It just, you think through that. Something else that I really encourage, and this makes homeschooling perfect for these struggling learners, is you can modify as needed. In the public school world, when a student gets an IEP or they are diagnosed with something, they modify, put in modifications to the curriculum.
Right.
As homeschoolers, it's so easy to do that. It's so easy. Some examples that I have personally done in my house. I had a son with dyslexia, and he was so smart, but he could not read all of his curriculum.
Okay.
He could not access that information. So I read a lot to him. Or we got books, audiobooks, or even textbooks that were audio, you know, and he could listen to the information and access it that way and still progress
Right.
in all the different areas, even though he was struggling with his reading. So that's one. If they're having trouble physically writing, some kids really struggle with that, dysgraphia, you can be their scribe. You can write for them, let them tell you, and you write it, or you type it, or they could type it, or even on many programs now, Microsoft Word, you can dictate, or they can dictate what they want to say, and it'll type it for them. So it just, there's so many helps out there. If they struggle with math, the dyscalculia, there's so many ways to modify the curriculum. You can be okay with letting them use a calculator. I know sometimes it feels like, oh, don't do that, but it really is okay. It really is okay. And get creative. So many times, the more hands-on you can do, make that learning hands-on, the better. Don't be afraid to let your kid, if they have ADHD or they just can't sit and focus, let them do those math facts while they're jumping on the trampoline, or let them, you know, walk around while you're reading to them, whatever.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to modify the curriculum. Have short lessons instead of one long sit down time. And then if need be, there's so many outside helps available. There are many tutors. There are many therapies, different things that are available to help. And one way that we have in North Carolina to help families access those helps is there is a ESA Plus, which ESA stands for Education Savings Account. And in North Carolina, they developed this program. It's specifically for students who are either in private school or homeschool that have disabilities. And it provides up to $9,000 a year, or with certain disabilities, even up to $17,000 a year, to be used for curriculum, therapies, technological helps, just so many things. It's really great. The application opened February 1st. So, and it's only open, the priority deadline is March the 1st. So you need to get on it. It will be linked on the Homeschool Helps page, or it is linked already. And there's going to be a blog post about it with more details. I know I just mentioned it quickly, but there will be a blog post this week at the NCHE blog. So check that out. Be sure, go to Homeschool Helps on nche.com and find a link to that. It'll give you more information. There's also information on our Helps page. We have a special needs homeschooling page under Helps that has lots of information and links for you there. So that's all I got.
And so we have also a Facebook page?
We do. We have a Facebook group that is specifically for families homeschooling kids with any kind of special needs. It is called NCHE Special Needs Support. So if you have anything from dyslexia to autism to Down syndrome to physical disabilities, anything, and you want to network with other families, you want to ask questions, find resources, that's a great place to do that as well. Yeah.
And also at the conference, we have a meetup. One of the gatherings for this, don't we?
Yes, we do. We do have a meetup, and there's a number of workshops specifically for families with struggling learners. You can look at the workshops, and they're labeled L. Those are the ones. And then we will have a special gathering just for you, families that are homeschooling kids with learning disabilities or any other kind of special need. So that's a great place to network and just know that you are not alone. There's always help out there. There's so many people that are choosing to
Right.
homeschool kids that struggle or with special needs for lots of reasons, but there's a lot of help out there for them.
And that really has been consistently one of the main reasons parents have chosen to homeschool
True.
over the years. And it continues to grow as a reason, I think.
Yes.
Because the need to be flexible and to individualize or customize your teaching approach, or adjusting to the learning style, adjusting curriculum, all of that is so well done in homeschooling, as you said.
Absolutely.
So take advantage of all of these opportunities. If that's the situation that you're in, we want to help you. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions or topics, anything you'd like us to talk about, you can email us at thehomeschoolshow@nche.com. We'd love for you to follow us and like us in any of the podcast, YouTube, anywhere you can, and share what we're doing here with a friend so that they can benefit from it. And so until next week, continue to homeschool with confidence and joy.
Bye-bye.